Do you ever find yourself losing eye contact in your videos, stumbling over words, or rambling on without a clear point? I've totally never done that one before. Do you want to simplify your filming process and make life a whole lot easier? Well, today we're checking out a product that promises to tackle all of these challenges head on. Curious to find out more? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome to First Reveal, a channel where we deep dive into the latest filmmaking tech and gadgets to find out what's worth your time and money and what's not. So, what's this product to help tackle all of these challenges? Well, we're talking the Elgato Prompter. Is it a game changer for filmmakers and videographers, or is it really just meant for at-home streaming? Let's find out. First, I'll throw a quick unboxing on the screen. It was pretty straightforward to unbox. The prompter's compatible with various camera types, but really I feel like it's optimized more for the Elgato Facecam or a DSLR or mirrorless camera. While it does come with a universal shroud that can accommodate other cameras, your experience may vary depending on the specific model you use. I'm using this with a Sony FX30, a couple of different lenses. In the box are 9 different size step-up rings to mount to different lenses. Lucky though, all of my lenses are 67mm right now, so I just needed one size ring. I did also purchase the StreamDeck pedals, and I'll put an unboxing of the pedals on screen now. I wanted to make life a little easier. Let's find out if that helps. When I first set up the prompter, I encountered a couple issues I haven't really come across in many other review videos. However, this might be due to my specific use case and setup. I'm not using it for Zoom or streaming, I'm not recording games, and I'm not using OBS. Instead, I'm filming directly to my camera in a more run and gun style. You might wonder, why did he choose this prompter over others that work with a phone and tablet, or one that doesn't require a computer? Well, the main reason is the on-screen display. It not only shows text, but it also allows me to see a second screen output. This can be my camera, it can be something from the computer. I like to use it for my camera output so that I can check my framing, kind of like I'm doing right now, without taking my eyes off the camera. This really helps the video be, or feel, more immersive. This approach does seem a little different than the typical uses I've seen from the Elgato prompters. Does it work with my setup? Yes, but. And I say but because there are a couple caveats. I had to use a USB hub with my Mac laptop. I know, everybody complains about the amount of ports on the Mac laptop. Trust me, I do too. Saying that, am I the only one who wishes we could fully switch to a universal connector by now? Just USB-C everything. I don't need USB-A and all the other kinds of connectors. One type would be amazing. Anyway, once I plugged in the prompter and the foot pedals, I realized I had a slightly larger than small problem.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
And this isn't Elgato's fault. It's more of a Sony issue. The FX30 only allows video output to the computer via USB while recording internally at 4K 15 frames per second. This is absolute garbage and completely unusable. So, what did I do? Luckily, I had an Elgato Cam Link on hand, so I decided to use that. The downside is it increases the overall cost of this concept, and it adds another cable. There is a remote software option from Sony, but when I set it up and tried to use it, it seemed somewhat convoluted, and since I already had the Cam Link, I thought it was the better solution. And honestly, it really has made things a lot easier. Okay, so at this point, I have 3 pieces of equipment plugged into the computer. I have the computer itself, and I also have a camera setup plus a B camera setup. It's definitely not as straightforward as I'd hoped. But before we get too much further, I do want to talk about the build quality and bring up one thing that I've noticed about this and other prompters on the market. This might be specific to my style of camera setup, but I want to bring it up in just a bit. First off, the build quality is good. It is a bit plasticky, but it feels fairly sturdy. There are 2 cold shoe mounts on top for accessories, such as a light or a microphone, along with several mounting points for attaching the camera to a tripod or a desk. Additionally, there is a tray that can connect the camera to the prompter. It's a bit plasticky and somewhat cumbersome, and so far from what I've noticed, kind of unnecessary. The screen is nice, it's bright, it is readable. However, there is one thing to note when using a prompter with a bright screen with a light background. it can affect your camera's image. Overall, this doesn't worry me too much since I'm a dark mode guy anyway. On the back of the prompter, there's a little slide portion that just slides onto the lens when you're using a DSLR. It works well. Let's go ahead and touch on the foot pedals as well. I will show them on video now. Pretty well constructed. They feel good to the foot. There's a button in the middle and two on each side. For my use, there's a back or scroll up and a forward or scroll down. I don't use the foot pedal in the middle for much. You can set it to be just a knot button and to leave your foot on. I left it just in case I decide to use it for something else. And there are also different springs that you can insert to increase the resistance or decrease the resistance of the pedals. So, what's the problem I mentioned earlier? I use manual lenses from Sirui along with the DJI Focus Pro setup to keep focus. When I mount the prompter to the lens, it blocks the LiDAR. I currently have the LiDAR set below the lens on a custom mount. If I move the LiDAR to the top of the prompter and use the cold shoe, it places it outside of the sensor plane range. Normally it's supposed to be within 300 meters, and instead it's at like 330 to 350. That can throw off focus, so it kind of causes an issue. I do have some hardware from Condor Blue arriving, hopefully in the next few weeks. It should resolve this issue, but until then it is kind of a big deal for me. I currently have the handle set off to the side, extended out with the LiDAR on top, and it works for now, but I would like an easier concept. Okay, now we've gone over that, we've set up the hardware, let's talk about software. Elgato, or Corsair, are known for their extremely user-friendly software, right? Right? Well, I haven't had too many major issues so far, but there are a few points I'd like to bring up that could use fixes. And not just for me, but I feel like for everybody. First of all, this is the biggest one, and it's absolutely insane to me. You have to have the prompter plugged in and running to add a script. I can't just open the Camera Hub software and upload a script for when I'm ready to use the prompter. I could see if you're using a desktop and this is in a semi-permanent setup, that it might be okay, but as a laptop user, this is a UX nightmare. Also, the foot pedals, the prompter, a cam link, and the camera. I have 3 or 4 cables and 4 different pieces of software running. StreamDeck, Camera Hub, Display Link, and oh, guess what? Even though I said I wasn't using it, OBS. I'm not using it to record, but being that the Camera Hub software won't let me view the prompter script and the camera feed simultaneously, I have to do a workaround, and that's using OBS and opening a monitor window to drag onto the screen to see the framing and script at the same time in a 50-50 opacity. Kind of convoluted. I can use the pedals to swap the image and the script, but it's clunky and did freeze a couple times for me. And also, if I'm checking framing and not looking at the script, it can kind of throw things off and get out of balance. The reason I got these products was to make life easier, and speaking of the pedals, the software is fairly limited or kind of confusing. You want to scroll down the text on screen? Just touch the pedal? Yeah, no problem. Just put a scroll command on one of the pedals. Want to scroll back up? Sure, just put the scroll command. Wait, does it just go one way? Does it go both? Well, it does. It just is kind of confusing, or at least it was for me. There's a nondescript slider that goes left to right that changes the direction and the speed. Once you figure it out, it's fairly straightforward, but for me at least, it wasn't that easy to figure out at first. Oh, speaking of the script, when I paste the script into the software, it's fairly easy to convert, though you do need to have some formatting, and it takes a little bit to do that. Voice sync, I don't even want to touch on. I tried it a couple times, and it sometimes worked, sometimes wouldn't work at all, would just freeze. And then sometimes it would just jump from paragraph to paragraph, and that really makes it unusable. I don't know if I'm too far from the laptop or if it's just buggy. If I could make it work, you could remove the pedals, but until it's stable and consistent, I can't. So pedals it is. Okay, so we've talked a lot of bads and some annoyances. Let's talk about some goods. And one good thing you can do for me is to like and subscribe. I know, you hear this all the time. I'm pretty sure everyone gets tired of it. I know I do. But it really does help the channel grow. And while you're at it, let me know if you've ever used a prompter before. Is there a better one for my use case that doesn't cost an arm and a leg? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so after setting up all the hardware, fighting through the software, I can say that it actually does work. I've watched a couple of my videos that I've done before I got the prompter, and then I watched a couple that I've done after, and the difference is pretty amazing. Now, saying that, it's not just the prompter. I'm also spending a lot more time writing scripts, pre-planning videos, planning shots. But when it comes to looking at the screen, confidence, and the me to you attention, this really has helped a lot. I can see my framing and make sure it's ever good without looking away. One quick note, your lens choice will make a difference. Too long, you might not be able to read it. Too short, and your eyes kind of dart from side to side. I like to have a 24 to 35 millimeter lens, depending on the distance to the camera. That's like a 35 to a 50 on a full frame camera. Okay, so to recap everything we've talked about. Pros. Once it's set up, it really does work. The screen is bright, it's easy to read. I feel I have a much better screen presence, and I don't have the annoyance of constantly looking away to check the scripts or framing. You don't need to use your phone or tablet as a script reader. I find it to be very annoying when you use a phone and you're in the middle of something and suddenly a call or text comes in and it interrupts everything you're doing. It connects pretty easily to the camera. Once you have the thing, it just slides on. It looks good. It is a little bulky, but it's not too bad. Once set up, the foot pedals let you control things without moving your hands. It's kind of nice and really helps me talk with my hands like I always do. Okay, talking cons. And in my setup, like I mentioned, way too many cables. The LiDAR is a nightmare, and the software is definitely rough. I would love just one piece of software that would let me control both pieces of hardware, I guess in this case all three, and control everything with a 50-50 opacity blend and just put the camera feed and all of that. It would be nice. Also, please, 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 if nothing else, just let me open the software and upload a script without having to plug in the prompter. The way I use it, once I plug it in, I'm pretty much ready to start filming. I don't want to sit here for another 30 or 40 minutes formatting a script to fit onto the prompter software because I can't do it beforehand. As for the camera connection to the computer to view on the screen, I can't fault Elgato for this one. That is an FX30 limitation, but it is one more thing that affects the whole setup process. So, would I get it again? Maybe. I do think it has a lot of promise, and I really like a lot of the features. But for my use case, there may be better options out there. Saying that, am I happy with it for now? Yes. Although some updates would make things smoother. Or another cool concept would be a mobile version that allows you to connect to the screen via HDMI, and the camera then shows its view, and you could somehow stream a script from your phone to the mobile version. That'd be kind of cool. So, what do you think? Is the Elgato Prompter for you? Are you a filmmaker looking for something to use on interviews or sets? Are you a content creator or a gamer wanting to have something to talk with chat and look directly at them? Let me know. Also, I should have the car roller comparison video coming soon. I've changed the scope a bit, and now we're doing more of a worst to best setup, and so it's taking a bit longer to film. But subscribe so you can go ahead and see that when it's ready. I do have a DJI O4 Air unit and an iFlight 5-inch drone on the way, and I want to get some practice doing car chases so I can eventually work my way into doing some fun videos. All right, on that note, I'm out. I'll see y'all in the next one.